Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into today's video. Going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, it takes us to the 10th of October. It's the first of the month today. We've got some interesting charts appearing. It looks like it's going to be some blocking up to the northeast of Europe, and around the back of that blocking, we could pull in some cold air into Western Russia and Scandinavia, the first wintry shot of the season. For us, though, it looks like we're going to have a bit of a battle next week between low pressure trying to come in from the Atlantic, this area of high pressure up to the northeast. I think the low pressure will eventually bring us some quite wet weather, but it could take a little while for that rain to get through into you. So not quite such a straightforward breakdown of the high pressure as it looked like we get a couple of days ago. So a lot going on, but before I go on with all of the detail in the video, I just want to say about the ads, just need articles on all pages, act as of this, have a browse widgets, any articles that you're interested in, click through, you'll be able to go off and read the article. Thanks so much for doing that. There's video ads on those for page, they open out within the content, when you watch them, they'll close back up again. Thanks very much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. Just starting off with the Arctic Oscillation Observed and Forecast chart, first of all. Arctic Oscillation is a reflection of the state of the atmosphere over the North Pole. It's not a driver of anything, just an index that's telling us what the weather is doing. When the Arctic Oscillation is positive, you've got low pressure over the pole. When the Arctic Oscillation is negative, you've got high pressure blocking over the pole. The black line here is telling us where the Arctic Oscillation has been, and the red lines at the end telling us where the Arctic Oscillation is forecast to go. And we can see that generally through the summer, the dates are on the bottom of the chart of course, through the summer the Arctic Oscillation has been trending negative, so had quite a lot of blocking over the North Pole this summer. Now, over the past few weeks, it's around the middle of September, this is 16th just here, they've actually gone positive with the Arctic Oscillation a little bit, but these red lines here are telling us that the Arctic Oscillation is forecast to go significantly negative once again. So it does appear that as we're going through into October, particularly up towards the middle part of the month perhaps, we are going to see a re-emergence of blocking over the North Pole, and that could well be tying in what I was just speaking about with those cold temperatures and a wintry blast coming down into northeastern Europe and western parts of Russia. We can see this blocking very nicely on the 8 to 10 day 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top and the GFS is on the bottom with flip charts around. So red is extrapolating to high pressure, blue is extrapolating to low pressure. You can see that there's a lot of blocking being signalled here over the top of the North Pole. With both of these models, we've got those red colours sitting there. That really is proper northern blocking. It's centred right over the top of the North Pole on both of those charts. Consequently, we've got quite a deep trough here plunging down into northeastern parts of Europe and western Russia. They've both got that. And that's a cold trough as well. The cold air is coming out of the North Pole, feeding into this trough. And that's, I think, is going to bring an early spell of wintry weather into the northeastern part of Europe through the course of next week. Now for us, we've got to concentrate on this trough in the Atlantic because that is trying to get in. It's trying to bring the westerlies and the jet stream back into the country. But of course, with this block in the flow sitting up to the northeast of us, it does imply there's a bit of a battle because the block is trying to bring in sort of easterlies, northeasterlies, but trough in the Atlantic is trying to bring in westerlies. So proper sort of battleground UK type chart that, and it's difficult to say which air mass is going to get the ascendancy, but I think eventually as we go through the week we'll probably see the low pressure breaking through. That's generally the way the models are trending this morning. So here's the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. The red line is the 30-year temperature average, just there, the thick red line. We're going to be a bit above average. Dates are on the bottom of the graph, of course. Going to be a bit above average through the first week of October, 7th of October being just there, of course. Now, after that, we do trend down cooler, so we're going cooler probably for the second week of the month, but you wouldn't say it's necessarily all that cold. The cold is going to be in the northeast of Europe. Precipitation spikes coming through as well, so plenty of dry weather up to around the 5th of October. Then after that, we start to bring the Atlantic into this block. It may take a while to break the block down, but we are bringing the Atlantic into it, and that will bring probably some bands of rain as we get through into next week. But how much progress those bands of rain make is going to be open to a little bit of doubt. And of course, with the block sitting to the northeast, there is the chance that these bands of rain could sort of grind to a halt over the country. So actually, you can get a very wet spell from these battleground situations, as the fronts don't really clear the country properly. They can just hang around and produce quite a lot of rain. Not really a suggestion of that on this ensemble chart. There's not a huge amount of rainfall there, but it is a more unsettled period definitely next week. Temperature anomaly from the 1st to the 9th of October, looking warmer than average. Notice it's going a bit cooler in western parts of Russia. These will trend colder, I think, over the next few days to the northeast of Europe. Precipitation anomalies from the 1st to the 9th coming out drier than average. Maybe a little bit surprising. I would expect that to be a little bit wetter than that. But anyway, it's showing drier than average for the coming week. Here's the generic charts, and for Monday we've got this battleground situation setting up. We've got this high pressure to the east. That's high pressure that we're currently under. Low pressure is trying to come in from west. Notice winds are from the south, so they're going to be pleasantly mild, but these low pressures are trying to bring in outbreaks of rain. As we progress through the week, well, up to Wednesday anyway, you can see what's going on. These low pressures are having their eastwards movement blocked by this area of high pressure over Scandinavia. So the low pressure is coming in off the Atlantic, hitting this wall of high pressure to the northeast and sort of grinding to a halt. There are weather fronts in with this as well. Winds are from the south, so it's going to be pleasantly mild, but there could be quite a lot of rain in the west in particular. But how much progress to the eastern side of the country those fronts make is open to some question. Now, remember, around high pressure, the winds are going in that sort of motion. So to the east and the north of the high pressure, we're bringing down northerly winds, and that explains the cold shock coming down into western Russia and Scandinavia. Moving through the week, the low pressure does eventually start to break through into the country, but the high pressure is still in there over Scandinavia, and we've still got this cold pool developing up to the northeast of Europe. And then eventually the low pressure over western Russia does deepen, becomes quite a deep feature. That will bring snow to many parts of central and western Russia by the weekend of sort of the 10th, 11th of October. But the low pressure for us is breaking through, so it's turning more unsettled later next week with outbreaks of rain. Here are the upper air temperatures for this, and you can see that it's pretty cold air sitting there up to the far north and northeast of Europe. As we have a look at the ECMWF, again, we've got this battleground scenario for the start of next week. Low pressure is trying to break through, but high pressure sitting up to the northeast. Eventually, the low pressure does begin to break through, but it takes a long time, and even up to Thursday, we've still got this ridge over Scandinavia, still sort of blocking things out, stopping the progress of these areas of low pressure from moving in from the east. And eventually, actually by day 10, starting the 11th of October, it does look like the high pressure over Scandi is winning the battle here, as these low pressures are starting to be directed down to the south. So the jet stream is beginning to get pushed in that sort of direction, northwest to southeast, as the high pressure over Scandinavia is beginning to back the flow into the east. That's quite interesting, but I think the GFS is probably the solution that's going to actually win out in the end, with the low pressure breaking through next week. But certainly the ECM does imply that that high pressure over Scandinavia is going to be very stubborn. It could eventually start to pull the winds into the east. They won't be all that cold for us. It's too early to get a cold easterly, really. But you notice it is turning significantly colder with the upper air temperatures over Scandinavia and western parts of Russia. So definitely, I think, an early taste of winter for them. For us, it's this battleground idea. Low pressure coming in off the Atlantic will bring some heavy rain, but how much progress those low pressure systems make, open to a little bit of doubt. And eventually, we've got to think about whether the high pressure or low pressure wins that battle next week. GFS says it's low pressure winning out. ECM says it could be high pressure winning out. Turning winds into the east. They won't be cold. It's too early for a cold easterly blast, but they would certainly be chilly, and they're bringing a lot of cloud and pretty dreary weather probably. So we're going to have to wait and see what's happening to JMA Friday tomorrow, which I'm sure will shed more light on all of this. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.